So basically today, I only come to webinars to network. I'm not gonna lie. So, or unless this information is super relevant. So I want you guys to get a chance to meet each other, and I also want to get a chance to hear your concerns because you know, we're always learning too, and I want to be able to be here to answer your questions also. So we'll try to get through my stuff as quickly as possible here. But yeah, please feel free to, even while I'm talking, to stick your questions or comments in the chat, and please feel free to share your information in there too, like you would at like a mixer or something like that, because a lot of this is, you know, helping you guys connect, and also talking about community and how that helps us, especially in the restaurant industry and the hospitality industry, working with other people in the same vein as you. So all right, want me to go ahead or should we wait a couple minutes?
No, I think go ahead, go for it.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen. There we go. All right, so the first thing I'd like to jump right into is how do you convert, right? We're talking about social media today. We're talking about our accounts specifically in the restaurant industry. Just as a background, the majority of our clients are on retainer. We do monthly content for them, video, and everything we do now is moving. So it's some type of animation or video. But we come in monthly and we shoot for them, and then we also distribute the content. So whether that be YouTube or Instagram or what have you, we do the posting. So the biggest problem I think that we all face, just to get right into it, is how to convert that social media following, right, into people who are actually coming in the restaurant and paying and buying and coming back and back and back. So how do we convert people, and why do we have this problem, right? First off, what is engagement? And I think everybody knows this. One's pretty easy, right? Engagement is views, likes, and shares, right? So engagement is different from following. Engagement is not growing your following necessarily. Engagement is getting your current following to get excited about what you're doing, right? And how do you do that? Well, you're offering them something that they can't live without. You're providing value. I know it sounds kind of corny, and you know, it's what all the sales manuals are going to tell you, but that's really what you're doing. You are providing something. You're asking yourself, well, what do they want to wake up and see? What do they want to scroll through their feed and see when they're sitting there at lunch, kind of bored at work, right? What do they want to see before they go to sleep at night? And if you can figure that out, you're going to grow your engagement. You're going to convert your following. So there's a problem with the grow your following mindset for us as businesses, being that it doesn't really work. The money comes from engaged audiences. It doesn't come from having 1 million followers. And that's not true for influencers, right? Influencers and celebrities, the value in their accounts does lie in the numbers. It does lie in how many people are looking at them. But for us, sometimes that can even be considered vanity metrics, right? Unless it converts. You're a business, you're not an influencer. So that's something that I'd like to impress upon everybody today. I'd like you to remember, even if you don't agree with me right now, that, you know, I do get a lot of people coming to me and sitting down for a consultation and saying, well, I'd like to be at 10K by the end of the year, you know, and that's great. I mean, if you have goals to grow an account to that size, like that, you're hopefully going to get it more engagement and more conversion because you're doing it the right way. But keep in mind that you're a business and you're not an influencer. Ultimately, engagement is the final goal, right? It rules everything. So show of hands real quick, who has trouble converting their following? Who has trouble converting their social media following into, yeah, right? Into people who are contacting you, into people who are coming to the restaurant, right? So the restaurants that we work with see more business, they see more traffic as soon as we start creating for them, right? And so we know how to make that jump. So let's get into some of these factors, okay? What are we fighting? Why are your posts not necessarily converting? One of the big reasons is that video is king right now, right? Instagram has just optimized for Reels, but in general, video gets massive engagement, right? Engagement soars 200 to 900% when you stick a video on an Instagram feed. It is, it's one of the most surefire ways right now to start making your accounts work better for you. I want to show you a little bit of this. This is a series that we created back in March of last year.
While we're stuck in quarantine and the stay-at-home orders are still in effect, some of us local restaurants got together. We wanted to give back to you. So we're making some of our favorite dishes for you to try and make at home with your family, just so you can pass the time. Let's go into the kitchen and see what's going on.
So that's just a little taste of what we created with the quarantine kitchen. The quarantine kitchen was Big Nick's Pizza, San Pedro Brewing Company, Sebastian's Mediterranean, and La Siciliana and they were all, but Big Nick's is not in Little Italy in downtown San Pedro, but they are on the board. So they did it to, first of all, help promote Little Italy during the pandemic. And secondly, to start adding value to their feeds, right? Everybody kind of felt like, okay, everybody's in front of their screens right now and everybody's kind of depressed. So let's start trying to add a little bit of value to our social following. These videos got 900% increased engagement on every feed that we put them on, period, across the board. That was the minimum engagement. They got 900% higher engagement than anything else that we have seen so far on those accounts. So it's a really good example of, first of all, capitalizing in a fun way that's not, weird or marketing skeevy on something terrible that's happening. But also, it's a really good example of some restaurants, right, that decided, okay, we're not in competition with each other, even though we're having this really, really hard time right now, right? We're all shut down and everything. We're going to go ahead and we're going to work together. And that really is, it was video, and it was these people in the community working together that got that engagement up that way. So what is so difficult about doing this? Why isn't everybody doing it? Video is very hard to create. We all know that, right? It's hard to do it yourself. It must be high quality. You can argue with me on this, and I'm open to hearing your, I see some feeds where they have tons and tons of followers and it's just all about like the crunch while they're cutting the pizza, and it's all filmed on an iPhone, and that's cool. But in general, across the board, in order to grow and to grow that engagement, your video still needs to be high quality. So it's difficult, right? What are you going to do about that? So let's talk a little bit about why video actually works, and this will be real short, but video works based on actual scientific principles, right? It is a fight or flight impulse. So we don't want to get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. So we watch what's moving in front of us, and that's still what we do. We'll continue to watch, right? It's captivating on a very basic level for us. So you are capitalizing on something that's going to keep working. This is not, this is not a flash in the pan. This is going to continue to increase your engagement. Sorry, just one second. I'm malfunctioning here. All right, so let's talk about a problem. You have 3 seconds. You have 3 seconds to get people's attention, and you have 3 seconds to keep them, okay? If you don't keep them within that first 3 seconds, they will scroll away. That's called the drop-off rate, for those of you who don't know yet. And the drop-off rate on average for a new account that starts using video is 3 seconds. It can be slightly longer for a restaurant sometimes, but for the most part, slightly longer is 5 seconds, not 3 seconds, right? So how do you do this? What the literal F? Like it's very, very short, right? How do you keep people from scrolling away? Video creation for social is completely different than any other medium that we've ever seen, right? We also are starting to get faster as humans at absorbing information. So it's not just that we're scrolling away because, oh, social media is, the devil and it's just mindless scrolling. It's that we're actually absorbing more information now in a shorter period of time than we were 20 years ago. You have to know your audience. And this is what makes social media so special. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm in the industry and I get sick of it sometimes too. I know we all get tired of it. We all get tired of the constant, the constant chatter on it. But one really unique thing that you can do for your business using social media is its feedback. It's constant feedback. There's data everywhere on those platforms. And you can get to know your audience really, really well. You can get to know your customer really well by consistently posting on social media. But the flip side to that is you have to know your audience. That's how you increase your drop-off rate. So our goal is always to increase our drop-off rate, right? And that's whether it's a static post or a video post. You're always trying to get people to stay on that post longer. The longer they stay on it, the more likely they are to click on it. The more likely they are to click on your website, right? So the more likely they are to convert. So here's the part you've all been waiting for. How do we do this? How do we increase this drop-off rate, right? How do we use social media to actually convert? Quality, consistency, and data. All right, those are your little triumvirate cocktail of happiness for this. So what equals high quality? What actually is high quality? Okay, can anybody chat me? Oh, I need to pull my chat up here. Can anybody chat me real quick? And here, actually, let's go back to, let me stop sharing for a second so we can chat about this. Can anybody chat me in the comments and tell me what are some things that they think are high quality as far as what goes into a video, what makes it look high quality to you. You can, it can be about a photo too, but when a post is, yep, high resolution. Eric just said high resolution. That's great. Let me get on everyone there. Lighting's a big one that we're going to talk about, right? Making sure that the image is lit well. What else? Good angles? Okay, all right. So good angles, and I'm sure that we'll see some of this when we go over your individual feeds, right? We can talk a little bit more about what makes a good angle. Good presenter, smiling, good content. Awesome. Script, flawless audio. Yeah. Scripting. Ooh, we'll talk about scripting. We'll talk about scripting after. That's a good one. I have thoughts on that. Good audio. Yeah. Good audio is a really big one. People tend to ignore the audio. A lot of the time they're thinking about the image and they kind of forget about the sound. An uncluttered environment. Yeah, that's a great one. So making sure that I was actually going over this with my intern yesterday. We were doing a footage review and, it can be a little difficult, right? You don't know until you're looking at it, but you want to tell the audience what to look at. You want to dictate that with the image, right? You don't want to leave stuff there for them to wonder, am I supposed to be looking at the drink or am I supposed to be looking at the pasta or what's that? And you control that. You control that for your audience. All right, very cool. I'm going to go back to my presentation here. Oh, and by the way, little shout out to Lisa Green Bullheis. She's my best bud and we work together and she created this prezi for me. So those were some great things about sorry guys, just one second. So high quality, all of those are very important. Here's something that we did for Little Italy. Again, this is a cocktail masterclass.
Hi, I'm Matthew Biancanello, and welcome to Eat Your Drinks Masterclass. And thank you so much, Little Italy of Los Angeles, for having me. I'm going to take you through 3 pretty much Italian classic drinks of mine with some food to pair with it today. So the first drink we're going to do is an aperitif. It's called the Italian Greyhound. And I use a substitute for Aperol called Cappelletti. So you can use Aperol at home, and it's with fresh passion fruit. So this is something that's bitter, it's a little bit tangy, it's sweet, but it's also really good as a starting cocktail because it doesn't have a lot of alcohol. So we start and
I wish we had time to watch more of that because he did a great job. And it's a fun video. If you want to go see more of that, it is on my website. You can find it in the Little Italy of Los Angeles section. But so some of the things that make for a great video, right, are you are wanting to use multiple angles. You're wanting to cut to multiple cameras. And a lot of this, what I'm telling you is from a data perspective as well as a filmmaking perspective. I mean, sometimes, you know, especially on social media, it's like, well, great, but do I need all of that? Does that convert? Like, do I need to have 3 cameras on it, right? Because am I going to make money from this? The answer is yes. You don't want to sit there on a single wide shot for 5 minutes, right? And have somebody just preparing something. It can work well for IGTV. It can work well for possibly a reel if you're like speeding things up and having some fun trendy music behind it. But if you're making a legit video on something, you need that higher quality look, which is going to come from multiple cameras, multiple angles, really great lighting, and really great editing, right? Timely editing things quickly to keep the viewer engaged. Faster editing actually equals better engagement. I know this because of data. I know this because we're constantly looking at the back end of accounts. We're constantly looking into the insights and the analytics. This is a big one for me. If you take anything away from this, use your data. There is so much of it, all right? There's so much of it in your Instagram. There's so much of it in your Facebook. And when you combine Google Analytics with your social platforms, you start to really learn the behaviors of your audience. You start to really understand why they're looking, when they're looking, what they're looking at, and you can start answering questions for them. You can start giving them ideas before they even have them, right? Giving them the idea of what to eat for dinner, giving them the idea of where to go for Father's Day. You've got to utilize the data because there's so much of it, and I can almost guarantee you you're not utilizing it to its full capacity, and that's what's going to equal conversion for you. Also, please don't listen to everybody that you meet at a networking event who tells you how to do this, including me. Go vet what I'm saying, right? That's one of my pet peeves is I am in a lot of networking events and I hear a lot of, somebody says, oh, I have a media company. And the next person says, oh, how long should my video be? And inevitably the person has some answer that I feel like they kind of came up with because they have a package that works, for that answer. And I always think, oh man, I don't think they're looking at any of the data because that's not what the data says. That's not what works, right? So make sure that you're researching when people give you these answers, and go on your own feeds. Even what I'm saying right now, these are generalizations, right? These work for most restaurants, and I've shot and edited and posted for a lot of restaurants. This is a really good general path to follow, but there's always outliers. There's always things that work for you that aren't working for other people. And that's where the data is really important. All right, so how do we do this? Short plus quality equals better engagement. We were doing videos for people for about a year, I'd say 3 years ago. We were doing them for about a year and we were topping them out at a minute, right? Because Instagram, the limit is a minute. But they weren't doing nearly as well as when we started keeping them at 20 seconds. 15 to 20 seconds is your sweet spot for a video right now. It will change over time. It might start getting longer, it might start getting shorter, depending on the algorithm, depending on people's viewing habits, all kinds of stuff. But right now we're looking at that 15 to 20 second mark, right? And that means your shots needs to be well edited, but it needs to be quick, right? People really need to be able to see and get through that video, get to the point in 15 seconds. High quality is key. High quality is key. Varying your angles, your lighting, and we can go more into this after the presentation, exactly what that means, and starting to hone your eye, right? And hone your tastes. So there we go. What works for you? All right. You need to have cheeses or meats in the first 3 seconds of the video. I'm sorry for all of you veggie restaurants out there and vegan restaurants, but cheeses and meats do really, really well on social media in general, across the board. The other one that's in there is fried foods. You put fries in the first 3 seconds of any video, you're gonna get better engagement. Statistically, fries in particular above other fried foods do very, very well. So well, what if that's not something that you specialize in, right? Then find a way to work in your branded colors. That's another thing that's really big, especially right now. It's started getting bigger lately. Not really sure why, but the bright colors are a thing, especially in food, and we all know, right? Like the red is the hunger color, but your branded colors in general statistically will do better on your account if they're in a video or a photo, right? So if you are gonna go ahead and take a photo of the special, right? Try to get your branded color in there in some way. If you have a menu, try to get that in there, right? Or if you have napkins that are your color, the color of your business, try to work that in because it's gonna help you out a lot. Pasta right now does really well without sauce on it. Just as a standalone thing, I mean, you can get as creative as you want to with that. You could do all of your different pastas. You could, have a thing on making pasta, but it's doing very well. It's trending high on Instagram. And then the other big one is booze. Now, I know, a lot of us, if we're a breakfast place or we're a cafe or what have you, we may or may not have booze, but alcohol also does really well on social media for obvious reasons. The more colorful that you can make the alcohol, the better it will do. So wine does well, beer does okay, and colored cocktails do very, very well. Again, because of colors, right? Bright. Specials. Specials are a big one. Make sure that you're putting your specials out on social media, right? We gotta, as much as I really advocate curated feeds, high quality feeds, specials are a big deal because in the end, social media is still a spur of the moment medium, right? You're still talking to people. It's still social. So if you have something, if you're going to have a Whiskey Wednesday, or if you're going to have a Saturday special, get it out there, make sure that and if you don't like it, if you don't like the quality of what you do, you can always archive things on your feed later, but make sure that you're letting people know that this is happening, right? It's also really good for the algorithm. News like that, because specials would kind of be news, that will help you, that will help increase your chances of getting seen. Specialization. This is something that I've found really recently. If you're not a brewery, don't post beer too much. It's not going to do that well, right? If you're not a pasta joiner, you don't have a lot of pasta or a lot of Italian on the menu, but don't post as much of that. Post what you're really, really good at. What has been happening lately is trending with restaurants is it's almost like feeds are niching down a little bit. So it's kind of also a chance to figure out, again, what is your audience really responding to? What do they really want from you? And then you start giving them more of that. Posting times for restaurants. You probably already know this, but if it's a holiday, you can post a little earlier in the day. And if it's not a holiday, for most of us as restaurants, it's going to be the 3 to 6 p.m. window. There's a window in there because we're talking dinner, right? And dinner is the big push. If you're more of a lunch joint, you can try that 9 to noon slot. But even then, sometimes you're going to do better from 3 to 6. So just keep an eye on the analytics and see how it's doing for you as far as your engagement is concerned. And the back end of Instagram will tell you when most of your followers are looking at what you're doing.
How
For
about
lighting,
days of
yeah.
Erin, how about days of the week? Someone's kind of related.
Oh,
What
yeah. Days of the week are going to vary more for everybody than the times. That's a good one. Thank you. So days of the week are going to be pretty individual. That's another thing that you can see in your Instagram insights. If you look at audience, it'll tell you which days of the week do the best for you. And as far as how often you post, I recommend that you don't run before you can walk. So if you're already posting twice a week and you want to up it to 3 to 4 times, that's great, as long as you can keep it consistent. Consistency is key because it builds loyalty, right? People are used to seeing you pop up every so often, or they're used to seeing you pop up every day, but flooding their feed isn't going to work. And also just going dead for a month isn't going to work. You need to keep it up at a pace that you feel comfortable with and that you feel like you can do on a consistent basis. Because according to the data, over time, that is what works. We actually did do a campaign for one of the pizza restaurants that we shoot for, because they wanted to do, we usually post 3 to 4 times a week, and they wanted to do every single day during National Pizza Month, right? And it didn't do very well. And that's why, because I mean, it's not like anybody unfollowed us, but we still just got kind of the normal amount of engagement, normal amount of, growth, because you can't flood it like that. People need to be able to trust that, oh, okay, I'm going to see it a certain amount, here and there, but they don't like it when you're bombarding them. So just be very careful. What about photos? All right, a lot of people aren't going to have the access to video, right? You could come in and ask someone like us to do it. You can do it yourself with the advent of Reels. The algorithm is optimized for Reels right now. But what if you just don't have the time or the people, right? Because it does take quite a bit of organization and everything. What if you're opening up and you got to make some money? Go ahead and use photos. I will say this, they may not get the engagement that video and animated graphics will right now. To be honest with you, we don't even really do photos anymore. We don't really even do static graphics. We do, everything is either animated or it's a video. And that's because of the engagement. But it's not like posting a great photo is going to hurt you. And there's also plenty of examples of really great restaurant accounts online that only use photos, so definitely I'm trying to kind of give you an idea of what's going to do the best and what is surefire engagement getting, but you do what you have access to. And all of these principles apply to photos as well. The branded colors, the lighting, the same types of foods do really well, right? And specials are easy to make a little graphic for on something like Canva, right? Over a photo that you took. So something, even, a great photo is still better than a really terrible video. So, if that's where your niche is, go for it. Keep going for that and keep posting consistently. So this brings us to kind of the end here. And this is the nitty gritty, right? We still need to work on our message. Our company is founded on storytelling marketing because it works. The message is still really important, even within all of this social media world and I need to charge batteries for a shoot. Thank you. But even within all of this, these colors do great and this time of day is best and all of these guidelines that you can follow, the messaging is still really, really important. Millennials, we're talking to a lot of millennials now. Millennials need an ethical reason to buy. That's the research, right? From an HR perspective, they even need an ethical reason to come work for you and to stay working for you. And so it's, as much crap as we can talk about millennials, they still have, they're a little harder to reach. They're a little harder to hold on to because they need a deeper reason to keep coming back. And if you can provide people that deeper reason, your stuff is going to get better and better, and it's going to get more and more views because that's the main point. That's the main takeaway to making anything go viral, is that it's about the story. It's about the emotionality of it. If it's very exciting, right? If it makes us feel sad, if it makes us feel very happy or laugh, like cute dog videos, that's what's going to keep people coming back. So any way that you can kind of dig a little deeper and tell a story is going to help you. And you don't have to get all schmaltzy about it. People think, oh man, I don't know if I want to do all that. But even, one of our clients started telling a story on camera the other day with another restaurant owner. His mom came here from Italy and started selling her pasta sauce on the street corner, like a couple streets up from here, right, in the 60s. And that's how their restaurant started. And they're still going today with 3 locations in San Pedro and Long Beach. And that right there, it's not getting schmaltzy about anything, right? It's really just like fact telling, but it's a great story. And I think that just saying something like that, my mom used to sell her pasta sauce on the street corner, right? That connects to people. all of a sudden, you know why she was doing that. You know that like these people really cared about their families, right? So you're gonna start extrapolating and think, okay, it's a family restaurant. There's all kinds of information that you can get that we take from stories without you really having to say a whole lot or go too deep. But you do need to keep working on your messaging and starting to figure out what parts of your story are really going or are really worth telling, right? What parts of your story are really going to grab people and make them think, oh, wow, I want to go back there. I want to go back there because they're such a cool place. So start digging a little deeper and also remember your posting times. And that's it. And I am completely open for questions and reviews of accounts right now.
Yeah, let's go through some of the questions that were in the chat here. I did want to remind everybody, Erin's willing to look at individual accounts. So if you want to go ahead and stay on, and you can send her your links and she'll take a quick look and review and maybe give you some advice, what you're doing well, what you could be adding to it. So let's hear.
And I'll
Let's
be
start
kind,
with,
I promise.
yeah. Let's see here. Candace asked, or Candace, sorry, asked, what's the difference between the influencer and business? Can you explain the difference between those two?
Yeah, so influencer or a celebrity would be somebody who really is out there to be a social media figure, right? They're out there to basically be a celebrity on social media, and they're putting their lives out there. It might be business related also. For instance, like The Rock, obviously, is probably the easiest target, right? The easiest example of an influencer. So everything he's posting is related to his business. It's related to the tequila brand. It's related to his films, right? But he also posts a ton of stuff about his kids. He posts stuff about his marriage. He posts stuff about working hard, right? He's an influencer in this massive space. And influencers get paid to post, and they get paid a lot to post. Usually you can find influencers can be really helpful for your business, right? So I usually suggest that people start with micro influencers, we call them. So anybody with about 800 to 2,500 followers, because they're really helpful in your local community. If one of those people is a mom and is part of a mom's group, right, and starts posting about how great your pizza is or how much her kid likes your veggies, that can go a really long way in the community. But I think that from my perspective, we all as businesses need to keep in mind that we are not influencers. We can be authorities in our own spaces and in our own communities. That's not the same thing. We're not influencers. We are businesses. So we're focused primarily on engagement and conversion. We're not focused on growing a massive following so that someone will pay us to talk to them about their product.
Candace, is that good?
It was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
problem. Let's see, the next question I see here is, can you talk about the effects from Kim? Can you talk about the effects of imagery for the effectiveness of your marketing?
Yes. Can you, sorry, this is from whom?
Kim, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah,
Kim
can you, and you can take yourself off mute if you want.
Yeah, and I just put it in the chat too. So, sort of that squirrel effect. So, your use of an animal, a dog, a cat, a kid,
Yeah.
beautiful pictures, sort of, like, look at this, it's so cute, and then hook them in. So
Yeah.
what do you suggest relative to those approaches? Yes or no?
I would say don't. Okay, so it depends. So people tend to have, and this again is a data thing. So I know this from looking at the numbers. People tend to have a little bit of an aversion to pets on restaurant accounts, probably because of the cleanliness thing. But if you have an outdoor patio, go for it. I mean, just, do as much with the doggy menu as you possibly can, because dogs do really, really well statistically. Kids do well. You got to be careful about the kid thing, depending on what you're offering and the image of the restaurant. If you're strictly family oriented, of course, go for it with all of the family oriented imagery. But you got to be a little careful when you start getting into, obviously happy hours, cocktail hours, things like that. In general, the safest thing to stick to is the food. The food does far and above way better for restaurants than trying to insert an animal to get, cuteness points or insert kids or whatever. If it's relevant to the message the story that you're telling, then by all means do it. But yeah, overall, it's images of food that are going to push you up there.
The next question is, should the video be a direct post or shared from other platforms?
To which platform are we talking about? Are we talking about?
Candace, do you want to elaborate a little bit?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Hi.
Oh, you had asked, should the video be a direct post or shared from other platforms? Do you want to expand a little bit on that? She was
Oh,
asking.
yes. So when you were talking about the times of, the time segments for videos, I was wondering, does it impact or have more engagement if you're sharing it from TikTok or if you're sharing it from YouTube, if you're posting that link to your business, or should it be a direct from your phone to Instagram?
It should be a direct from your phone to Instagram. The reels are optimized right now. So Instagram is mad at TikTok and Instagram is trying to be TikTok. So they made Instagram reels. And they have basically skewed the platform so that anything that's done on reels does way better. So we have actually started shooting for our restaurants, half for posts and half for reels. So we'll basically turn the camera and shoot it in the aspect ratio needed so that we can create a reel as like a high quality video. So if you're gonna post on Instagram, the most efficient thing to do is post on reels. Now, if you think that one all the way through though, you have some problems, because what if you wanna make a video and it's gonna be high quality, it's gonna take you some time, and you want to multi-purpose it, which you should, right? You want to put it on LinkedIn, you want to put it on YouTube, you want to put it in multiple places, not just Instagram. Then it gets sticky, because do you shoot it like this or do you shoot it like this, right? If you want to put it on YouTube or if you want to put it on your website, you need to shoot it in the traditional aspect ratio and widescreen, because that's what looks the best, right? And that is high quality. So it depends on what you're using it for. Now, if it's not going to hurt you to post it as a regular post on Instagram, it's still going to help you. It's still going to get you ranked higher. It's still going to get you more eyes on it, right? But if you're creating solely for Instagram, then you definitely want to create a reel. Right now, it's going to change. It's always changing.
Thank you. I've seen some reels that I posted at different times that just lay flat, and others that just seem to take off within a second. They have over 1,000 views, and I was just like, okay, what's going on here?
And I'm happy to look at that with you too, because it's too much to talk about right now and I'd bore everybody to death, but there are definite things with the shooting and the way that it's composed, the way that the video is composed, the music that is used, etc., that are gonna optimize that reel over other things. And it's probably just things that you were messing around with and trying and didn't even know, so that's probably what happened. Also, time of day.
Candace is also asking if you offer a similar session for retail.
Yeah, for sure. We can talk retail. That would be awesome.
Let's see. Deborah asked, for the kind of video you talked about, multiple angles, etc., how much can a business expect to spend per month? And then the next, and a follow-up to that is, how many videos do you recommend a week? 2 a week, question mark?
Okay, so again, it depends on which platform you want to go on. Instagram, so they all have their own recommendations for number of posts per week or per day. The Instagram will recommend that you post at least once per day to get optimum engagement. And LinkedIn will recommend that you really only post twice per week, 3 to 4 times max, but they don't want you flooding people's feeds. Again, my general rule of thumb is that you don't want to run before you can walk, because inevitably what happens is, first of all, sometimes people get annoyed that you're posting too much, but a lot of the time they will latch onto it. And then what happens when they latch onto it and then all of a sudden you're gone because it wasn't sustainable, right? So that's what you just got to be careful of. Is it's way better to post once a week for 3 months and make it really consistent and get people being like, ooh, I really like that. Like, I'm going to look for the next one. And now I'm going to go to her feed and see the past ones. And now I'm going to click on her website because that content's so valuable to me, right? It's much better to do something like that, develop that kind of habit, than it is to be like, oh, I'm going to post 5 times today. And then, and then you fall off in a week.
And then the first part of that question was, how much can a business expect
Oh.
to spend per month for that kind of, the multiple
Sorry.
angles, kind of the high quality video you were talking about? Yeah.
I forgot. Okay, so we can help you for anywhere from a few $100s a month to a few $1,000s a month. It really depends on what you want, how often you want us to come in, and if you want us to, one way to get your money's worth out of a content creator is maybe you're okay to post it on your own. A lot of content creators come in and they give you a full package. Most of the things that I do are full package, like we create it and we distribute it because it's easier for people and that's what they want. But one way that you can really, kind of get a bang for your buck is somebody comes in to shoot for you once a month and then they give it to you and you post it. That can be, a really great way to kind of cut costs and just use that person's talents for what you really need it for, which is the shooting and the editing.
That help, Deborah? That's also down here. I don't see it on here. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Great. Let's see here. Kim wants to know, can you share some Instagram accounts that you think are good examples?
Ooh, okay. Sorry, I got to get on my phone. I don't know the handles offhand. Oh gosh, it's going to take me a second to find a couple of these. Yeah, you know what? It probably would be better if I make a little list and send it to everybody afterward. I'm trying to think of some local ones that are doing really well. Well, see, they would all be ones that I do, so that's kind of self-serving. I'll put together a little list of some that there's some in the UK right now. Their marketing in hospitality, they have had such a rough time because, this isn't political. It's just that their restrictions have been so much different than ours. And so a lot of these restaurants keep, they keep being about to open and they keep ramping up. And then within a couple of days, it gets delayed again. And a lot of places are just having a really rough time, but it's created, I follow a lot of them there. And I kind of just created this really beautiful, like content, I don't know, renaissance, because people are on podcasts and they're talking to each other in the industry and they're, doing a lot on social media. So in some ways that's been tough, but in a lot of other ways it's been really cool. Yeah.
Quick thought. Sorry, I asked Deborah if that was the question about how much they expect to spend.
Yeah.
But maybe what would be helpful too, Deborah, maybe you can help me out also, is what are some questions maybe that businesses should ask someone before they ask them to help them with their content? Maybe that would be helpful, because I think, it's hard to know how much to spend. That's all relative also to your budget. But maybe what are some good questions to ask someone before you hire them maybe to do your content?
I like that, because I end up coming into a lot of businesses who've tried multiple people for content and are really frustrated with what has happened. So, I mean, and I apologize if this is too honest or too blunt, but this is kind of my take on it. I mean, you really do get what you pay for. So there are definitely companies that are way cheaper than what I offer that you can find with a simple Google search, who will post for you every day for like $10 a post, and if that's what you want, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel ashamed of that in any way, but like at the end of the day, being out there is being out there. It just is what it is, but you're not going to get the quality. So it's just kind of starting to suss out, by meeting people, what kind of job they're going to do for you. So a good example is we, unless the client needs some kind of special arrangement, we give them an entire plan of every single thing we're going to post at the end of the month before the month we post it. So those plans are going to go out mid next week for July. And it's a spreadsheet and it has every word in it that we're going to post. It has every hashtag. It has the platform that we're going to post it to, right? So that's part of the price tag, really. I mean, because if we work with a lot of people in hospitality, we work with a lot of travel. And for some of these travel brokers, they're representing, they're getting paid by Dorchester Group or the Ritz-Carlton Group, or these luxury resorts like a castle in Scotland. So they need to ensure that what they're putting out there is branded correctly for their clients, right? There's things like that. You want to think about how much control do you need over the final product, and how are you going to relate that to the content creator? I think some good things to ask too are, just from a really nuts and bolts perspective, are you going to get the raw footage? Are they okay with giving you the raw footage at the end of the project? How are they going to back up what they've done for you? They need to have it backed up in 3 places, and one of them needs to be not physical. It needs to be like Amazon Cloud or something, right? Because you don't want to take a chance that anything could get lost. You also, in this day and age, people, especially if they're on contract with you, they should be okay with giving you raw footage at the end of the project, not during the project, but at the end. Some of those things are good ways to vet people, because if they don't know what they're doing, they're going to give you weird answers or be kind of cryptic about, like, oh, I don't know about that. Well, I mean, if you're not backing things up correctly, then, you shouldn't be working with them. So, and then I would say that for me, this isn't the way for everybody, but for me, definitely that planning ahead, that's the biggest thing I look for with people. Like, am I going to get a chance to correct something if you made a mistake, right? And are you going to give me lead time for that? Because it can't, I have my own schedule. I got to be able to see this on my schedule and fix it. That to me is like one of the biggest signs of a professional.
Okay. Just as a quick follow-up to that other question, do you have an idea? Let's say you were saying maybe a video every day, what might be effective? Approximately what is like the range money-wise that would be? I think that's what they were trying to get at.
That's
that hard?
Every day. You're looking at several thousand a month, probably, if you want, but again, every day is. So the most efficient way to do it is to have somebody batch it, right? So like we're doing a restaurant shoot later today. We're going to go in and shoot for July for this company for 2 hours. And we're going to get a bunch of videos out of that. So that's the most efficient way to have someone do it. Not every company will do it that way for you, because it's going to be less, they're going to be able to charge you less. But that is the most efficient way for the business. And I honestly, you don't want to start out, you may not want to start out posting a video every single day. You may want to think about posting maybe like 12 videos this month or 10 videos this month, right? There's a lot of, you're going to look at it this way. So it's the same thing as advertising. If you advertise first without boosting posts, you don't have any data to go off of. So you're throwing thousands of dollars at an ad campaign saying, I'm gonna, Erin told me cheese does well. I'm gonna promote my cheese. But what if your audience doesn't love cheese? What if they like pizza, but they don't necessarily want to see images of cheese? Well, you don't know that yet because you haven't put the time in, right, to looking at the data and seeing what works. So you boost first, and then when you have a really good data set and you know what you're looking at, you know the behaviors of your audience, then you go ahead and throw money at a big ad campaign. But it's the same with video, right? And it actually is the same. I mean, it's very closely correlated. We're trying to get in there after a month of posting. 3 months, sometimes it takes us somewhere in and around the 3 to 4 month mark before we really know what people want to see. So, you got to kind of, it's exciting to hit it all at once, but it's not really the way to do it. That's gonna make you money in the long run.
So just real quick, it's 9:57. So there's 3 more questions I see in the chat. So let's try to get through those 3 questions before 10. And then if anyone wants to step off at that point, we'll stay on for anyone who wants to have Erin review their accounts, their individual accounts. So let's try to get through these next few questions real quick.
Okay.
One is thoughts on fleets on Twitter.
Fleets on Twitter. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I'm not the person to ask about Twitter. Twitter in general doesn't do great for restaurants because it's not as image focused. So I would just be a little bit careful about putting a ton of time into it. I can hook you up with someone who would know though. So if you want to, who is this from? I'm trying to find Ricardo. Okay. Ricardo, if you want to message me with your info, I can hook you up with somebody who can help you with that.
And then Erin, can you put your contact info in there? Someone was asking for that. Can you put it in the chat?
I will.
And then And the next question is, any suggestions on collaboration or contests?
Contests do really well. Make sure that you have all of the rules really well outlined in there. Can I do this is it going to bother everybody if I do it at the end? I can't multitask and talk and
No,
type at the same time. Sorry,
No,
guys.
it's fine. It's fine. And then-
Contests do really well. Make sure that you're really clear about your rules. It might even be, I've heard of people having legal trouble over contests, so just make sure you're careful about that. But it's always a great way to kind of get some engagement going. And then, I'm sorry, what was it?
Collaboration.
Collaboration. Okay. Collaboration within a community of people who are doing the same thing always increases engagement. So we have one client who they have like a bigger package, a bigger shooting package. And every month we pick a restaurant, they're a restaurant. And every month we pick another restaurant, exact same type of restaurant in the community, in the same community. And we do at least 2 videos with the owner. And it that's increasing engagement hugely. Not only are you showing that, it's kind of, that's kind of like positioning, posturing a little bit even, because it's almost like saying like, oh, look, I'm doing great. I'm doing so great. I can even afford to give this other restaurant business, right? And then also just from a practical perspective, you're capitalizing off of that other restaurant's following as well.
And then the last question in the chat is, any thoughts on hiring influencers?
Yes. So we went over this a tiny bit before, but start with micro. So find people in your community who are I actually just gave this advice to an old friend the other day who just started up a food brand. And he did it and it's working. Get out there, get on the mom groups, get on the sports, kids sports groups and things like that. Community college, any type of community groups that are out there, get in those Facebook groups, right? And those types of groups will start having those people in them who have you're looking at about 800 followers to 2,500 followers. Anything over 10,000 followers starts to become a paid influencer. But anything under that, you can say, hey, for a few free meals a month, would you just come in a couple of times? We'll give you a free meal and you talk about what you liked about it, something like that. You do want to show the generosity to them, but they shouldn't need to get paid for that. A micro influencer should not necessarily need to get paid for that.
Awesome. Well, it is 10:01. So if anyone wanted to go ahead and step off, thank you to all our partners today. Thank you to Erin. Nancy, do you want to say, Nancy's back? You want to say a few words? You're muted. Yeah.
I'm glad I got to come back and hear part of Erin's talk today. I thought it was really great. It made me think about what Fumi and I have been working our social media calendar. We were actually supposed to have an intern through Facebook Fellows that ended up not working out, and because the fellow dropped out of the program. So hopefully we're going to be able to maybe work with Erin ourselves so we can move forward our social media.
Great,
I really appreciate all of our partners that were here today, everyone from all the different chambers. And I see Bobby on here from Corona. He wasn't on when I stepped off earlier. And again, thank you everyone for being here. And if you have any questions, I think Erin put her information in the chat. You can just shoot her an email. We will be editing this recording and we will have it on the Chamber's YouTube channel.